All right, Hans, do you use the bum gun?
I do. I use my right hand for shooting, my left hand for the watching.
Absolutely, yes.
I use it just for the sport. Absolutely without fail. Now, listen, I haven't stopped. I mean, I haven't finished. Yes, I do, at least 2 or 3, maybe 4 times a day, because that's how I operate. And what was I going to say? And I'm extremely upset when I pull into a PTT station or anywhere else where there is no bum gun, or where, if there's a bum gun but not quite enough paper to clean up afterwards, I'm really upset to just use the paper that I take in with me. So the bum gun is king at home, where you've got a towel hanging up on the rail and you can just kind of, you know, dry off afterwards.
I see.
But bum gun, yes. Toilet paper, no.
Well, of course, it's one of my most wonderful discoveries about Thailand, but when I go back to North America, no one knows what it is, and I spend a lot of time explaining and describing it, and no one can actually believe that anything quite so primitive exists, right? Because they're so committed to paper, which of course is not nearly as sanitary. So yes, of course. And it's also probably one of my more erotic thrills I get at this time in my life, because, well, what else can you do, right, with that part of your body, right?
I hear you, brother. I hear you, brother. I'm right there with you.
Yes, all the time. It's much better, much cleaner than using toilet paper. Never use toilet paper anymore.
We don't call it the bum gun, we call it the bum spray. And doesn't everyone?
Of course I do, yes, yeah. I mean, it's so hygienic and it saves money because you don't have to use toilet paper. So you're winning all the way around.
And I find if I have a roll of toilet paper in the bathroom when I shower, I always get the roll of toilet paper sopping wet.
That's always a problem.
Always, yeah.
Well,
All right.
See, you don't have a roll of toilet paper for the bathroom. It's tissue. It belongs in the kitchen.
Ah, or on the dining table.
Yes.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Enjoy your evening.
And you. Cheers.
Cheers. Peter, do you use the bum gun? Peter, do you use the bum gun?
I use paper.
You use paper?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Baby, you're still the greatest.
Bearing down on you like a plane load of Chinese new money. I'm bearing down on you. I'm bearing down on you like a plane load. Bearing down on you like a plane loaded Chinese new money. I'm bearing down on you. I'm ready to be somewhere. I'm bearing down on you. I'm bored to death of my own company. I read a book last night in the bedroom where I slept as a child. Now today I got on a plane and I left. The best I can hope for if I'm frugal is a pilgrimage every couple years. Some cheap Cambodian weed, man. Fried rice and bottled water. Whoa. Don't call it heaven, but it's enough for me. There used to be millions of bugs swarming around, fluorescent lights. Now the place is encrusted in neon. I don't see any swarming bugs. What are the bats eating these days, now that the bugs have gone? What are the bats eating these days, now that their future has done?
I've been thinking a lot lately about an old girlfriend. Go figure, right? She was a very lovely Japanese woman in her mid-30s, and I was, I think, 51 or 52. And she was a professor at the University of Iowa College of Medicine and a brilliant scientist who would go on to make the first real breakthrough in muscular dystrophy research in 30 years and parlay that into a teaching job at MIT. And I wish her all the best in the world. She's a lovely, lovely, brilliant woman. Probably a woman so brilliant that she would not choose to record a video in front of her house at rush hour at 5 o'clock, exactly 5 o'clock in the evening. But it's Thursday evening and I need to launch a video tomorrow, so here we are. We're in this together. So at any rate, something she said to me once. She was fluent in English, of course. She'd been teaching in medical school for years. She said, in the States, she said, you know, I'm a different person completely when I speak English than when I speak Japanese. And I said, how do you mean? And she said, well, just for instance, she said language is constructed to fit a worldview. And the worldview between, you know, ancient Japan and ancient Europe are worlds, literally worlds apart. So for instance, in Japanese, a woman may not speak directly to a man, may not make a statement directly to a man, just frame everything as a question by adding the sound ne onto a statement. So instead of hatsui, it's hot today, she would have to say hatsui ne. She has to defer to the man's opinion. And this woman said to me, you know, you spend your life doing that with every sentence, devaluing your opinion with every sentence. And you start to think that way. You start to think your opinions are less important. And opinions that I would never have the confidence in to express them in a meeting, a faculty meeting in Japanese, I'm very comfortable expressing them in English. And I've been thinking about that. I've been back now 9 weeks in Thailand, and it is apparent I have forgotten 3/4 of the Thai language I knew when I left in 1997. But I've been pleased with what I have remembered other than that. Hello, yeah. I have been pleased with what I've managed to remember, but I've noticed that, yeah, I'm a different person when I speak Thai than I am when I speak English. I'm a more polite person. There are 900 tools in Thai for expressing respect and obeisance and submission. And before you speak to anybody, of course, you have to rank them on the scale where they are in terms of education, in terms of wealth, in terms of address. And before you can even know how to speak to them, before you know which of the 7 pronouns to use when speaking to this person you've just met, you have to ask them, how old are you? Where do you come from? How much did you pay for your car? You have to ask them a whole lot of personal questions so you know how to speak to them. And the person I am when I speak Thai he's middle class with pretensions to high class. He's a pudi, or he wants to be a pudi, because typically who he's speaking to is a dek serve, somebody he's paying to do something, a chang. So typically, so far, over the course of 9 weeks of being back in Thailand, most of my encounters have been with people who are selling me something or providing me a service of some kind. My landlord, the guy I rent my motorcycle from, the plumber who hooked up the sink, the guys who came to hook up the Wi-Fi, the people, the girls in the Duntai store, the people in the restaurants, the people in hotels. It's been people who've been providing me a service, and in those encounters, they tend to assume the submissive role. In every Thai conversation, there is a dominant role and a submissive role. And if you've got the money and you're paying for something, you're automatically in the dominant role. And there is a part of this Steve Rosse who is speaking Thai for the first time in 20 years who's having fun with that, who's enjoying playing, to the manner born. Maybe more fun than is appropriate. I don't know. I don't know that I have earned all the respect that the Thai language affords a man with white hair and a little bit of money, just a few American dollars in his pocket, very few, but enough to buy me high-class pronouns in every conversation. And there's a danger in that. So this is what else I was thinking before I kicked over the camera. So I saw an interview this week on the Irish Times station. And if you don't know the Irish Times, it's a guy named Pete who apparently was born without a surname. It's tragic. He was just born without a surname, him and Cher. And Pete does interviews. He does very good interviews in large measure because Pete himself is a very solid, stable, secure, confident, centered guy. And he provides a very solid backboard against which his interview subjects can then lob ideas, phrases, jokes, anecdotes, whatever. So Pete does very good interviews. And he did an interview, or he posted an interview this week with a guy named Trevor Fisher. Excuse me, Trevor. Trevor Fisher, who's a Brit from, I think, Manchester, he said, who's a trained nurse who was on Phuket on Boxing Day 2004. The day of the tsunami. And Trevor was in a position to help a lot of people over the next few days. He speaks 4 languages. He's a trained nurse, and a lot of people had been separated by the tsunami, and they were looking for each other at the hospitals. And so Trevor was at one hospital and taking care of that there and being the nexus of information going around in the age of fax, no internet. And it's an inspiring interview, and I don't throw that phrase around lightly. It inspired me certainly to think about, all right, if I'm going to play the Pooh-Dee here, I'm going to play the big man, I should give something back. You know, we all should. We're guests here. Most of us are retired or in some way blessed with a lot of leisure time. And I think it's not unreasonable to expect it of us, the Farang. And it's Farang, not Farang, it's Farang. It is not unreasonable to expect of the Farang that we give something back to our hosts. Something more than, I spend 1,000 baht a night on Chang beer. I pay my housekeeper, you know. I bought a car here, I bought property here, whatever you do. Contributing to the economy is not the same thing as giving back. There's no sacrifice there. You need to give of your time. You need to give of whatever talents God has blessed you with. You know, my ex-wife and I met at the Phuket Gibbon Rehabilitation Project. And we are surrounded, many of us, with all kinds of soy dog foundations, orphanages, language schools. Right now, a big thing is teaching Burmese refugees. And make no mistake, the Burmese guy who's repaving the road outside your house, he's a refugee. The Burmese waitress in your Thai restaurant who looks at you with a blank face when you speak Thai to her because she's Burmese, right? Her Thai skills are not that great. And all of these people are refugees. Like my family were refugees in the United States. And teaching Burmese English, or teaching them Thai, is a big thing right now. I think there are ways for us all to give back. Now, I came here to Turtle Beach thinking that I would participate in the conservation of sea turtles. I really dig sea turtles. I don't know why. Go figure. I like sea turtles. I think they're beautiful. I think they're absolutely gorgeous. And the way they move in the water and their whole attitude, their whole personality just really speaks to me, resonates with me deeply. And I thought, well, you know, Turtle Beach, it's a turtle conservation center, a refuge. There'll be something you can do. You can, you know, cuddle and pet turtles or something. Well, no, COVID has shut down the hatchery. So there's no more turtles being raised here. The turtles come ashore in November and lay their eggs, but of course you're discouraged from being anywhere near the beach when that's going on. And there is a turtle festival in March at which they used to release the baby turtles that were grown here in the hatchery. Since, you know, COVID put the end to the hatchery and that part of the festival anyway has been ended. There are still vendors who come and sell food, and some groups put on shows and things like that. And there's an abbreviated parade, much less than in previous years. There's no more releasing of turtles, so everything else is abbreviated. So I have not been able to find a niche for myself to give back through turtling in any way. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm open to suggestions. How are you giving back? Do you think you need to? If not, why not? If so, why, and how do you do it? I need to find something, and something you can do in Ban Nok, in Pak Thai, and I'm open to suggestions. That's it. I'm losing the light. Magic hour is over. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you again next week.